All right. So I moved upstairs. Um, we'll see if the spicy coconut margarita has worn off. If my programming is any better now than it was about an hour ago. So, okay. So where we left off is we've now got the user creation login flow working on the client. That all seems good. On the server side, we just added the creation of the membership between a user and an organization automatically when an organization is created, which is good, I think. And now we're going to sort of quickly see if we can get through the basic CRUD flow on the web client. And, I'm not going to sweat the forms that much or the look at all for now. We're just going to see if we can get the basic behaviors in, see what we learn about the application, see if we see anything that feels missing on the server side, and then I'll get too tired and stop. So here we go. All right. So where did we leave off? All right. So now what we want is for the user to be able to register and now I'd like on this page here, we're back to the sort of logged in page. So if we're logged in, I want to have a menu of actions that that the user can take. And one of the actions will be to create an organization. So let's add that. Okay, so I'm going to go to the index. So I think I only want these actions available when you're on the index of the app. So we're gonna add that. Now we don't have an index controller at the moment, so we're gonna generate that. Now, as you may remember, if we look at the Ember inspector and the routes, when we're here, this is rendering a generated index controller. And now we're just going to actually add one, which you can see in the background just happen here. Okay, so we want to, on this template, we want to generate the route too. So we want in here to, if the user is authenticated, to show this menu. Yeah, okay. So let's, in the template, let's do that. So if I just write that, you'll see where that's going to print, right, which is below, down here. So I think what we want here is we want to wrap back on the application template. Let's wrap this in a div. Let's see, we'll have this be, authentication, navigation. Okay, and now we will add that list of actions that the user can take. So we'll have this be, what do we want to call this? So these are like index action. All right. And perhaps actually I don't even need that. Let's not add things before they sort of seem obvious. Okay, so let's just make this list, and then we'll start by Okay. So we want to have, if the session's authenticated, we're going to want to have some actions that they can take. And this one is going to be create organization. And that'll be a link. So you can see that that's not rendering, and it's because this index doesn't have the index controller doesn't have access to the session service. So we're going to add that. So we'll inject this, and now we'll have that link. Okay, so we are going to want to have, so to create the organization, then we're going to need a route to handle this. So let's add that. I never remember what the syntax is here. Is it organization slash new? Well, let's see. Yeah, so that is what it is. That seems right. So let's check the router. Organizations new, good. So now back in the index here, we're just going to make this a link to that. And then that is with dots, not the slashes, I think. Yep. Okay. So now we go back. We've got new organization, so that's good. We can see that that menu went away because that's only on the index, and that's what I wanted to happen. So now that we're here, we're going to want a simple form, right? Or something that looks like a form. So let's add that. And we're going to add that to our template there. All right, so all right, so let's remind ourselves what call them. So input groups. All right, I think that for an organization, we're going to go back to our docs. Oh, running on 3000. And let's just remind ourselves what the organization has going for it. Huh. That's strange. Oh, I know what it is. So back in our bin setup on our server, we need to generate the docs when we do this. Now, wait, hold on a second here. We've got errors in our server, which I most certainly did not expect. Now, what in the world is going on here? All right, well, we got to dive in and figure this out because that does not make any sense to me. I've got demons in my head about. Well, there we go. I was say I've got demons in my head about Spring, and sure enough, when I just ran it outside of Spring, it ran fine. So I'm going to pretend that didn't happen for now. What in the world? Well, why in the world would I mount it there? That doesn't make any sense. Okay, so back to this. So organizations, and we're going to create one. All that we've got is name. So all right. So our simple little form here on the client is just going to have a spot for the name. This will be model.name, and then we will have a button to save. Now, for now, I am going to just make this create sort of a specific to the new action. Obviously, we may want to refactor this so that it's a reusable component we can use in both the if the organization's new or we're editing it, but that'll be an interesting little refactor to go through later, so we'll just skip that for this second. Okay, so we've got this little form, which is fine, and now we need to make our model. And then we'll set up the route too. So JS in here. Okay. So that's that. And then did this create this? Yeah. Okay, so now we will set that, and on our new controller, which I don't have yet. So on that, we're going to add the action to save. Okay, so this will be this get model. All right. Okay. I mentioned last time I am waiting to add all the ES 2015 features, or not all of them, obviously, because I'm using something like this, which is somewhat new, but I'm going to trip over some of the syntax changes if I just do this in line, because I haven't been writing all that much JavaScript. So, I'll come back and clean up some of the stuff that looks a little bit dated at some point. But all right, so when the organization saves, then let's just log something for now, and then we'll add some routes we'll figure out where we want to put it. You know what? No, forget that. So I'm gonna change that and say, instead, let's transition to the route index if we have success, and if we have failure, I'm just going to log that there was a problem. Okay. So this will be like Main Street Elementary. We'll watch what happens on the server side. Here, I'll clear that out. And sure enough, looked fine, created it quickly, went back to the index. Now, what we'll do on the index here is we'll add the list of organizations, okay? And then we're gonna have a sort of a UI nested under that. So we will add, let's add that list first. Okay, so now we have to decide, do we want to list all organizations or just the ones that the user has access to? I think that I think we're just going to make this a my organizations list first. And then, we can always add just the full list of organizations. I mean, that could be long, and I think that's sort of a different use case, and we can always, change some things around. But let's start by adding that little list. So to do that, we're going to have to add a few things. We're going to have to add a membership model. So we'll do that now. And then we'll have to add the relationship between user and then membership and organization. So we can just do all that now. So this is memberships. Okay. User has many memberships too. Okay, and then membership has obviously the inverse of what we just did. Okay. So then if we're going to have let's see, we're going to go back to the index. Okay, this is going to be in here, and we'll have session user.memberships. Let's see what's in the data. Okay. So let's figure out why this is not loading the way we would have thought it would. So that suggests that session user maybe isn't set. So let's check if we've injected that server into the controller. And of course we haven't. Oh, cool. All right, so now my organizations is listing Main Street Elementary. And if I go and do High Street Middle School, now interestingly, that did not update this list. So what you can see is it updated the organization. It did not update the membership. But if I refresh, you'll see it in that list. Okay, so let's think about why that is. So so when we save the organization, let's see, organization control, here we go. So when we saved this on the server, the membership is getting created. But the user is not having that refresh. So I think that on success here, let's refresh or reload the user's memberships in order to pick up any new ones that were created. I think that that's the best way to do this. Okay. Yep. All right. All right, so this is Pleasant Street High School. Now it reloaded the memberships on the user, the current user, the session user's user rather, and now we see that getting updated. So good, that's what we wanted to happen. So that's good. So now what I'd like to do is add or make these links to the organizations, and then we'll have that route be nested under the index, and then we'll add some actions from there. Okay, so Ember G, we'll do route, and this is going to be organization. And then we'll make the links here links to those. So link to So it says there are no dynamic segments for the route organization, so we need to go and update that. All right. All right, so let's go back and take a look at what happened here. So click on Main Street Elementary AC Organizations 35, the index went away, and great. So now let's implement that. All right, you can see that the model's being set as I would think. Now, interestingly, you can see when I just remove this that in fact you don't need that model because that's the default behavior. So I'll take it out just to sort of make that more clear. Okay, so now we will modify the template here. And we'll make the name here, the H3, the organization. Cool. So let's just go refreshing how this works here. So I've added all right. Now that's good. So why don't we add the ability to edit this? That seems just kind of whatever, but just to sort of show how easy it is at the very least. Let's see, organization.edit /edit. And we won't do this for everything because many things we won't edit, but for this, that's it's fine to add that. Okay. So we'll add a link in our organization template. I'll just do it here. Okay. All right. Now let's check out what the router added. So it added the edit. Okay, and if now that's still nested, right? So it's still going to be underneath here. And we'll make it so that well, you know what? We're doing all boring stuff. Let's make this just slightly more interesting. So I'm going to actually get rid of that route. And instead, what I'd like to do is just have this title be a component where it has a little edit link on the side, and that allows us to sort of toggle this as editable. Well, let's see what the error is here. Oh, right. All right, so let's make like a little link here. Well, okay, first, let's make this a component instead. So we'll have this be organization title. Okay. And let's generate this component then. All right, so we've generated that component. Okay, so now it looks like it did before. And let's make, let's see. Now, this one we're going to call, let's see, we're going to have toggle editable. And, you know, hey, if this is not idiomatic in current Ember, then maybe it's not, but I think it'll be fine. And then we'll have edit. Okay, so now I want, when I click this, for this to become editable, right? So let's do that. If is editable, then we'll have an input value equals organization.name. Now I think that maybe the current convention may be to not bind it this way, but whatever. We'll look at this week's blog post later to see what people are saying to do, but let's just get something working for now. That'll be fine. All right, so I hit that. This complains that there is no handler for toggle editable, so let's go make one. All right, this set is editable is going to be the opposite of whatever it currently is. And you know what? I don't know all of the Ember sort of sugar that they add on to the syntax, but I bet that there's a toggle. Let's look at Ember. Toggle property. Yep. So there we go. We can use that instead. Pretty good chance when you work in Ember that if you think that it would make sense that there'd be a little sugary way to do something, that it's there. Okay. There we go. So now when I hit edit, it changes our little title guy, which is nice. And I think that it's, you know, I think that they're, it's a little ugly to me when you have behavior like this that maybe you'd want to hyperlink to, that it doesn't change the URL. So why don't we just sort of show how to do that now? So we're going to want to add on the, let me think about this. So this is the organization controller. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Controller, do I not have one? I don't have one. Okay, we need to add one. So we want to add on to the organization controller query params. Or I mean, I think there are other ways to do this, but I think this is how I want to do this, since I want it to be this page, not a separate one. And I'll add a query param for is editable. So now I've got this. So I'll just so you can see how to do this. If you go to query params, check out controller query params, then just give it an array of query params. And we'll say is editable. Okay. We can make those shorter if we'd like and still have the property be named the way we want, but we'll go with simple behaviors for now. And then in my organization HBS here I'm going to set is editable equal to is editable. And now, so let's see what happens when I refresh this. I wanted, okay. So when I refresh this, it's what I'd expect. When I hit edit you'll see it gets added, is editable equals true. If I toggle back, okay, that's what we'd expect, right? Is it? It seems like it's actually behaving a little bit strange, but so is editable true? Now if I hit edit, let's see what happens. So the reason for this is that is editable is on the controller. And this is a case where we want to send the action up into the, I think that may be always the case, but this will be an example of why we'd want it to be. So instead of setting this here, what we're going to want to do is instead this send, and let's just refresh that that's the right syntax from a component. Component send. Okay. So toggle is editable. Okay, we're going to send that instead of actually toggling this property. Okay, and I don't recall if we don't handle toggle editable here and we do handle it on the controller, let's see what happens. I don't really remember. So I know that's a different name, but I will fix that in a second. Heck. So it's toggle property, okay. So The component had no action handler for toggle is editable. So we need to add that. I wasn't sure if it would sort of bubble without, but it doesn't. You have to deal with it here. No action handler for toggle is editable. Really? Looking at the difference between send and send action. All right, so it looks like I don't need this. And I can have this be edit and then send toggle is editable. And back here, I'll have that be edit. Maybe not. All right, so now we're back to this. Let's figure out why. Okay, so what we think should happen is when I click in here, I hit edit. So right now that's null, and that's showing I hit edit. This should go to true. It does. I hit edit again. It went to false, but this didn't update. So we need to figure out why that is. Okay, so we're gonna add that. Take a look at this. Oh, interesting. Sets the string false. So, okay. Let's see if so the query param is editable. I'm going to set this to edit, and then is editable. I'll make a computed property on that, which I think can be Boolean. Let's just look at what this is. Computed properties. Computed. Here we go. Bool. Edit. Okay. Okay. So here's the good news is that now the toggling is working. The bad news is the URL is not. So we need to fix this. I think that's a very ugly way to do this. Yep. Well, there we go. So, you know, I suspect this is not the idiomatic way to do that. But I think the part that is clear is that, I mean, so here are the good parts. We now have it in the URL. So if you copy and paste this, right, go to a new browser window, that the edit will be as you expect. If I do this again to a new browser window, it's like I expected, so that's good. This is getting set correctly, so we're both getting the query param correct and also sort of like having it be a Boolean, so we don't have to do equals true, although, you know, I don't know. This sort of feels a little ugly to me. You know, so I mean, I think this works. I think we could also just toggle the edit is editable directly and not sort of deal with this Boolean routine. You know, there's no way that this is like good idiomatic Ember, I don't think, but you know, we could fix it to look a little bit prettier. I also think this is fine. Well, what the hell? Let's try a way that merges these two, because I think this is a little ugly. So we'll keep edit true. I think that that's fine. And I think is editable, we'll make ember.computed edit. Okay, we'll have if this.get edit. Okay, then this is if this.get edit equals true, then return true, else return false. Okay. And there is a better, I think a cleaner implementation. I suspect we actually don't need this. But I also think that's clear. So I'm just going to leave it like that. So good. So these are behaving the way we want. Good. Now what we need to do is add a little save link when that is editable. So let's do that. Okay. We'll make a little button. Button save. All right, we'll keep that edit for now. Maybe you'd want to change that, but I think that's fine. Let's see what happens. So I click save, no action handler for save. So let's add that. this looks ugly. Let's just look up what the deal is with this, if I can use send on the component or not. And I know this is brutal to watch me look up everything, but you know what? I don't, like I said a bunch of times, I don't always do this, so I forget. So I think the idea here is that you want to send in to the component. So let's just read through this. So for example, a component for playing or pausing music may translate click events into action notifications or play or stop depending on some internal state of the component. Okay, so if this is playing, then send the action play, otherwise send the action stop. The actions play and stop must be passed to the play button component. This is if we're going to use this send action. Okay. That means that we have in our controller the actions that we want, and we want to say play equals action music started, stop action. Okay. Then otherwise send action sends a name action. Yep. Okay. So that's okay. So that's pretty straightforward how that works. Then action is triggers an action, a named action on the action handler. Any parameter supplied after the action name string will be passed. The action handler has its target property set. Actions may bubble to the target. Okay, let's take a look at action handler just for a second then. All right, well, for now we're just going to go with what works, which I think is fine. So let's just refactor this to follow that to what we just read. So send action, and then pass these in, right? So let's do this edit one first. That means that here we're going to say edit equals action toggle is editable. Yeah, okay. Let's see if that, okay. So that's refactored into, well, let's just, I'm gonna comment that out just to see if, yeah, it is needed. Okay. All right, so that's from the guide, so, or the current documentation. So I'm gonna stick with that. It doesn't exactly seem like the most elegant way to write that in the world, but that's fine. Okay, so now we'll have this save work too. Okay. Also not clear to me why you need this action here, but oh well. Now let's think about this here. So we've got this save, and I think we want to pass up the organization that we've modified, I think. All right. Okay. So let me save, then we're going to toggle is editable. Now, when we go back here, and I refresh, it's there. So there we go. It worked. Middle school and smellatorium. There we go. So good. That's sort of working exactly like we'd think. And I think this is basically the idiomatic Ember, at least from what I can read from the documentation it is. Great. Cool. So let's keep going. Okay, so we've got this. We can edit it. That's fine. Now, what we wanted to do was be able to create a actually create an auction. I'm going to swap this into cancel. You know what? Went through all the trouble here of unnecessarily caring about these details. So let's do it. Okay, so we're going to say if is editable, then cancel. There we go. Good. All right, so on to the list of auctions. A quick note, by the way, so like it wouldn't have to be a link. I mean, this may be obvious, but like, let's say you just wanted to have the click on that do the job, just to sort of make the point how easy this would be. So what we can do is, if it's added there, let's see, we'll do it this way. So span action edit. And there we go. Okay, and then so that works just as you'd think. And then let's say we wanted to focus this element, right? So we'll say this is D. See if I remember what the syntax is for this too. All right, so I've got the organization name. And then if I want to focus it, I'm just going to look this up for a second. So Ember focus input. Oh, this before. We're going to take a look at this guy. Oh yeah, okay. So here we go. We're going to install Ember CLI focus input, and then that focus is when it's shows, which is what we want here. So let's do that. We're gonna make use of this in other places too. So I'm gonna quit and restart this because I don't think otherwise it will pick this up. And then back here, all we have to do is this, focus input. Yeah, there we go. So now that's very much the behavior, I think, right? Which is cool. So we can do it there. We can click on here. And then let's say I type here and I want to say like Main Street Elementary 2 and hit enter. I want the enter to send the save action. So we can do that too. I think this is the syntax. Yep. Right, so now we'll do that and it saves. So and this is the sort of stuff that Ember just makes like comically easy. Whereas I even don't remember the syntax, it's still pretty easy to figure it out. Cool. So let's move on to adding an auction. Okay, so this is back in our organization template, right? I want to add the list of auctions. So we'll say H4 auctions. And let's see, to start with, we'll just do this. So UL, and here we'll do each model dot auctions as auction. Auction dot, let's see what the deal is with auction. So auction name, okay. Okay. Now I actually don't have an auction model yet in Ember, so let's add that. Ember G model. And it just does a handful here of attributes. And we'll just do a couple simple ones to start with. So we just have name. Why don't we just implement this actually so we can have something. So name. Then if I go back to organization, right, it has many auctions. And then this is going to have belong. I'm sorry. Organization is going to be a DS belongs to. Okay. All right. So back in our template here, we're listing them off, but I also want to add a new one, right? So this is going to be link to new auction. Okay. So we don't have a route, name that. Oh, shoot, that's not what I wanted. So I want organization auction new, right? Because we want to nest this underneath the organization. And then here on this, we'll change to that. There we go. Okay. So auctions, now a new auction now, that's the URL that I want, right? And in that route, now we're gonna have to set up the model for it. Okay. And let's see. So first we're gonna have to get let get the organization. And this is, I think, model 4 is what we call here. We'll look it up. Model 4 returns the resolved model of a parent or any ancestor route in the route hierarchy. Yep, okay, that's what we want. So now we got the organization, and we're going to return create record. This is going to be an auction, right, with the organization set to the organization. So let's see what happens here. Oh, now interestingly, you see this bullet here is because we're on the new auction. So let me rewind here. So if I go Pleasant, now once I hit new auction, you'll see that pop up, which makes sense. So we're going to say here, because we don't want that, if auction dot ID. I'm not sure if that's the idiomatic way to do it either, actually, but it certainly works just fine. Okay, so we're on the new deal, so now we have to add a little form. Okay, so we're going to use that focus input again. did not focus it. Not sure what's up with that. Okay, so let's go back here and sort of go through. So user, 3 organizations, 3 memberships. That's what you think, right? Pleasant High School. And this, we'll see the new auction, and now it focuses it. Cool. So let's take a look at this guy. And when I say, like, you know, Fall Festival of Giving. Okay. That's what I want. Now we're going to add a button to save it. Save auction. Well, I need a controller now for the auction. So all right. So let's go to that controller now. Controller auction new. All right, so self transition to route, and then this is going to be organization dot. I think it's just organization, actually. We'll do that for now. I think we're going to ultimately have it be to the auction, but let's just see how this workflow goes. Nothing handled the action, save auction. All right, so it's not getting there. we need to figure out why. So let's take a look at the view tree here. Well, what am I missing? So I mean, at this point, I removed it. Now we should see that error. That's what we expect. So nothing handled the action save auction, right? All right. Well, who knows what I typoed, but whatever. There we go. All right, so we're going to add an index to auction. That's not what I meant to do. I need to add an index to the organization, rather. Hmm. All right, so all right. All right. So just add a link now to the actual auction. All right, so link to auction name, and then it's going to be organization.auction. Auction. And let's check the router. Yeah, fix this because I think I generated the wrong route before. But we're about to see if I got this right. Sure, I've got a typo somewhere. Yeah. All right. There we go. All right. Now, here's the link organization 35, auctions 26. So now let's, whoops, what is this? I have a feeling I just saved something I did not mean to, which is pretty annoying. Okay. So now we will add a template for this auction. Let's just make sure that it's getting set the way that we think it is. Yep. That looks right. Okay. So we're going to add. Oh, this is the one that I saved that I didn't mean to. Okay. There we go. Maybe we would make this actually the name of this. Or no, it's fine. So one thing that you'll notice here that's a little funny. I mean, it's great that you can edit this from anywhere, but I think you'll notice that the query param seems a little funny, right? So just having edit it, we have to add the, edit what. So let's just make that change. I think that'll be prettier. Okay, so this is edit organization name. It'll be much more obvious what that means. There we go. Much better. Okay, so now let's add the donations here. And then I've only got a couple minutes left. I'm a pumpkin. I think I've been a pumpkin for hours now. But so now I've got this. We can edit that. That's fine. We've got the bid fest. We could do the same trick there with editing or the same functionality, but whatever for now. Now we need to add the donations underneath here. Okay. And perhaps we'll make this a link. Okay. So this will do the same as we did before. So this is, I'm going to add organization auction index. Okay, and then that's where we're going to put the link to create a new donation. Yep. Okay, so auction index. There we go. organization, auctions, donations, new. Okay, so we've got, we're going to add that link now. That doesn't exist yet, so I believe we'll see an error there. All right, there we go. So, and we'll add that. Donations new. All right, so then if we go to the here we go, the donation documentation. Let's see what we've got. So let's start with just title, so we've got something. Again, kind of the same thing we did before. So we'll have our model, and we'll get the auction. All right, see if that's all hooked up. All right, so this will be like gift basket. All right. I set the I set the or I put the actions in the wrong place. It should be on the controller, not the, which there probably isn't one. Yeah, so I have to create a controller. All right, let's figure this out now. Well, this sure seems like the right place to put it. I feel like this has happened twice in a row. I'm sure I'm making the same mistake and not seeing it. So, unprocessable entity. Let's see what the network says about that post. Oh, the donor can't be blank. Okay. So let's think about how we want to handle this one. So for now, we can have the donor be equal to the session user. And that's not really what we're going to want soon. But I think for now, I think while we're just sort of stubbing this out, we can have this be this way. It's fine. All right, so donor, and then this is going to be get session user. The donation model, we need to have a donor on. So this is, we'll see if this was the issue, but this is a promise. So we need to deal with that. So we're going to say, okay, return this promise, and we're going to have it be, okay, get the session user. Then once I have it, now I'll make this. We'll see if that was the issue. I'm not positive it was. We get of undefined. Okay. So now it's saying the auction can't be blank. Which is interesting. Why does it think the auction's blank? Oh, interesting. Okay, so that worked. So the issue, in case that wasn't clear, is that model 4, I wasn't giving what the resolver needs to figure out what to look up, right? So I need to say organization.auction. Okay. So now if I go, let's see, where are we? So now we're back on the auction. So if I go back to the index of the auction, then we'll list off the items. There we go. All right, well, I obviously got a little bit tired of talking here, but sort of see the basic deal. So if we go back to our list here, basically have added everything but the donation categories and the bid types, which are on the donation. So why don't we do that just for the sake of finishing that off, and then I think we're done for the day. Now, interestingly, the donation category should be on donation, shouldn't it? Let's check on the server. All right. All right, let's take a look at this now. So post donations now. It has the donation category. Good. And that kind of happens when you're building an app like this. You'll just notice you forgot something somehow, your relationship either on the model or the resources. I forgot it on the model, which is why I forgot on the resources here, but okay. All right, so let's just add into that form. Let's see, this guy, the ability to pick the donation category. So start with that. Okay. So there was a great blog post recently on how to sort of the idiomatic way in Ember 2 to use a select list. So I'm gonna look it up because I remember seeing it and I think it was good. So select. Let's see. Here it is. So here we go. Here's the syntax. Now I'm trying to remember what the right way to do this is when you have all of them. I didn't know that there was this Ember string W just like Ruby. Look at that. remember how you override a net even, or what the sort of idiomatic way is to do this now. All right. I don't think that's the right way to do this, but I think we have to add something to get this, yeah, Ember truth helper. So we've got to install this guy. It gives us all of these helpers for handlebars. So we'll do that quick. No wonder this looked funny. I knew that there was this better way to do it. I just copied and pasted the wrong one. All right, so this we can just put the action right in line. We're going to mutate the model's donation category. Okay, so target.value, the value of the select option. All right, got it. Take a look at the donation categories. See if they're not loading or if the issue is something else. So they are loading. All right, I should set it through the route. God, I'm so tired. I couldn't even remember how to do a basic thing like that. All right. So this is, let's see, this is in the new, whoops, route new. Well, that was also dumb. Jeez. It's being set to now. What's up with that? Why in the world? Well, I guess this is about it for me. Too tired. Well, that's it for me tonight. I'm too tired. All right. See you next time.